Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Sunday the 2nd, 2023. In today's Mill news. Before we get into the actual rest of the video, a little reminder, the under-21s are at home at the Den. They're playing Burnley. It's a 1:30 kickoff. You can go there tomorrow. It's Easter holidays for your kids to drive the house already. You want to get them out of the house, shut them up for a while. It's £5 adults and £1 under 16s. If they are season ticket holder, they can get in for free. So there is that. That's tomorrow lunchtime at the Den. So moving on to this from londonnewsonline.co.uk, the South London Press's online website. 4 takeaways from Millwall's 0-0 draw at West Brom. Bookies odds shorten on Championship player plays as weekend results are positive. Yes, they were very, very positive. Mill drew 0-0 West Brom and Albion yesterday. Here are Richard Corley's takeaways from the match. Respect for points. Mill collected their 10th draw of the 22-23 Championship season and it proved to be a really positive one. West Brom extended their unbeaten run at the Hawthorns to 12 matches, winning 10 of those, and have conceded once during that period. No side in the second tier has banked as many points on home turf in that period. This was not just Mill heading to the West Midlands in defensive mode. The Lions had 4 attempts on target compared to their opponent's 1. I can't even remember Jules Long making a save. West Brom goalkeeper Josh Griffiths, by contrast, turned a Tom Bradshaw shot around his post with Zion Fleming also forcing him into action in the second period as well. Bradshaw also failed to get a good enough connection on Ryan's long throw-in fairly early on. Mill had a decent spell after the restart as they pinned Carlos Corberan's side back. West Brom's XG was 1.12 in the first half, but only 0.36 in the second 45 minutes. The fact that they ran out of ideas and had been stymied saw their tempers fray in the closing stages. Results? Well, really, that should be results. Norwich lost at home to Sheffield United. Coventry City suffered a 4-0 reverse to Stoke City. So that means that Mill have a 4-point cushion over the clubs attempting to chase down a position in the playoffs. Blackburn were also beaten 1-0 at Birmingham City, and that moved the Lions up to 5th at close of play on Saturday night. Millwall are 2-7 with the bookies to reach the playoffs, with only Friday's opponents Luton 1-16 and Middlesbrough 1-20 at shorter odds. This is a fantastic opportunity to end a 21-year wait for a Championship playoff spot. There is simply no way getting away from that. Wallace v Wallace. Murray Wallace faced former teammate Jed Wallace at the Hawthorns, and it took less than 20 seconds after the fixture kicked off for the 2,000 plus travelling support to sing an offensive chant to their former fans' favourite. Jed had a shot blocked in the penalty box and also fired in the fizzing cross, which caused temporary panic stations, but it was largely restricted by his Scottish namesake. Showed his class at full time, despite his every touch being booed and the same chant emanating more than once from the away end. He went over and clapped the Mill supporters at the end. Yes, and there's a video there if you didn't see it. I'm not going to play it, but if you want to see that, he literally come up, clapped. Don't think he even got inside the 6-yard box. He went up to the 6-yard box and immediately turned around. Because I think there were a fair few fans in the away end who were still giving him clog and giving him sticks. So happy travels. The stat before Saturday's match was that only Middlesbrough had more away wins than Millwall's in the Championship since the South Londoners recorded their first 3-pointer on the road in mid-October. The Lions are unbeaten in 4 on their travels and it is now their home form with 2 defeats in their last 3 where they need an upturn. Luton Town next up in SC16 at the end of the week are the 3rd best away record in the league, taking 35 points from 19 matches. That is only exceeded by Sheffield United and Burnley. The Hatters are unlikely to sit back and aim to frustrate like Neil Warnock's Huddersfield Town did before the international break and then sucker punching through Danny Ward. In saying that, that reverse doesn't look so bad when you consider the Terriers beat Borough 4-2 yesterday. Neil Warnock, such a wily old campaigner, has breathed new life into their survival fight. Yes, exactly what I said yesterday. That Huddersfield defeat, when you look back on it, doesn't seem that bad anymore because they really turned the corner. Now, one takeaway that wasn't there, bit of a blow, is Charlie Cresswell. Now, it seems that he has done himself a bit of damage. Put up on his Instagram that he has fractured his eye socket. So what happens now? That's like earlier on the season he kind of got a black eye and he's high puffed up, and he played on when it was still kind of bandaged up a bit. This is different. This is broken bones. They need to heal. I don't think it's too bad. I think it's just like a hairline fracture, but still. Would he want to play? I don't know, probably, but he has to start thinking about himself now in his future. Does he put himself back on the line Millwall this season? If he gets the okay from the medical team and they say, yeah, you can play if you wear a mask, does he do that? Does he do a Tony Gray, Gary Mabbott, or whoever your focus is for people who wear masks? Does he do that, or does he think, well, I've done my part for Millwall this season? I'm like in a month or two, I'm going to be going back to Leeds, so I need to think about that. It's interesting to see how it will work. It's a massive loss. They've been playing really well, really well, and kind of must be when you see he would put Hutch out of the team. Hutch couldn't get back in the team. It seems he'll be back in now, so Hutch will have something to prove, I'm sure. Let's hope he steps up and does that. But yeah, what is Charlie Cresswell going to do now? What do Leeds want him to do? What does he want to do? And what does that mean for Millwall? All questions that will be answered in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. So now, more post-match stuff. This is from londonnewsonline.co.uk. Pleasing performance. Millwall midfielder George Saville assesses 0-0 draw at West Brom. George Saville was satisfied with Millwall's performance and point at West Bromwich Albion yesterday. We played really well, midfielder Saville told Millwall TV. We restricted them quite a bit, considering their home form since the new manager came in. To walk away with a point and a pleasing performance is good. You look at other results and people drop points. Getting a point today is a positive. The experience of Saville and midfield partner Ryland had helped break up West Brom's attempts to string passes together, and a former Wolves in Middlesbrough player also took a yellow card, tripping Brandon Thomas Asante as he threatened to lead the Baggies' counter. It's good playing with Lenny. We put our foot in, we helped shape really well. All the lads played really well. We had a good game plan and we knew what we had to do today. We were going to suffer at times, but overall we played really well. Half an hour in the second half, I thought we could nick a chance. Asked if the squad had talked about targets needed to finish in the top six, Saville replied, no, Luton next week, that's what we look at. We have to attack the game. Indeed. The next game, that's all you need to worry about. What is the next game? And then after that, what's the next game? And after you've played that game, what's the next game? Take it game by game. It's a cliche, but that's how it needs to be done. So, moving on to this from southernnews.co.uk. Mill boss frustrated by missed penalty call in West Brom draw, and indeed in yesterday's news there was their manager was moaning. I didn't put it in the video, but he was moaning as well that a penalty they didn't get. So I think as a referee, I think I've heard a referee say before, you've had a good game when both managers are moaning about you. Well, apparently, so guess that means the ref had a good game. Mill was frustrated by missed penalty call in West Brom draw. Gary Rowett believes that more should be done to protect Jake Cooper from being manhandled. Gary Rowett believes that Mill should have been awarded the penalty in the first half of the 0-0 draw with West Brom. The centre-back was brought down during a set-piece, causing furious protests from the Lions players and supporters, while the manager was also confused as to how his side were not given a spot kick. It's not the first time that Cooper should have been awarded a foul in the box, and referees have been criticised for turning a blind eye when he was being manhandled. The 28-year-old has echoed Rowett's frustrations, but told News It Then that he does not believe it will change. The boss explained that he is against the way that Cooper has been treated in games, understands how difficult it is for referees to make big calls in high-profile games. There were only 3 players pulling him to the floor, so clearly that's not enough to get a penalty. Rowett joked after the game. We've had this conversation all season. I'll be honest, I found it quite ridiculous how you can get dragged to the floor. You're told that both players are at it and there isn't quite enough contact. There is enough contact, it's a penalty. But sometimes as a ref, you've just got to be brave enough to give it. I know it's not easy, there's lots going on. And if I'd get it that way, then I might have to run the risk of getting it the other way if we're holding. I understand it, but particularly with Coops, people just stand on him and don't look at the ball. They're facing him, they're holding him. If you keep letting it happen, people keep getting away with it. I don't think it's right, but there you go. Well, here's the thing: it can't keep happening, can it? They can't keep getting away with this. It can't keep getting away with this. So you would imagine if it keeps happening and happening and happening, maybe we'll get it when we need to get it, and we deserve to get it. When there's a lot of eyes on us in the playoff semi-final, or even, shall I say it, in the playoff final, how great would that be? We get a penalty in the playoff final, Cooper's being dragged out. And finally, here we go. Penalty that we deserve, and it helps win the playoff final. That would be justice, just rewards for a season worth of being touched up, sexually assaulted by Jake Cooper. So there you go. Now moving on to the stats section of the video. Because it's Sunday, I like to do that on Sunday. We do stats because there's not a lot of news going on. Because everyone's taking a break from a hard-earned draw away at West Brom. So here we go. So the XG from yesterday's game, 1.05 to West Brom to 0.88 for Millwall from this website, infogoal.net. There's the match events. You can see we got 3 yellow cards, they got 2, a lot of subs going on. And the reason why I like using this website is because they have this, which is the XG shot app. So it's all the shots plotted on where they happened on the pitch, but not only that, the quality of the chance. So the bigger the circle, the better the chance was. And this in blue is West Brom because obviously they were in blue and white stripes and they were at home. So this is their chances. You can see they had quite a few inside the box. They're definitely trying to get inside the box. Only 3 outside the box, so they knew that their best chance of scoring was to get inside that box and get something to happen. But even then, they didn't really have any clear-cut chances from doing that. Now here's Millwall, a lot of chances, basically looks like the same amount of chances, but lesser quality, shall we say. It looks like our best chance was the one all the way out here wide, and that was George Saville in 66 minutes. There's a couple in the middle also that were decent. Jake Cooper on 33, George Saville at the end of the first half, but there you go. Now fairness rating, 95.95. Was that a fair result? According to this website, out of 100, yes. That was a super fair result. Okay, I guess. Now, let's do this first half. Aha, it's the first half. There you go. And there's Millwall's first half. So, you can see that's definitely trying to go through the middle, around the penalty spot on West Brom. In that general area. Mills is kind of more spread out. Let's go second half chances. So they tried to change it up. Looks like they're going in on this right hand side. Sante, Rogic, and again Rogic, and yeah. So there you go, second half. Now second half of Millwall again. A lot more chances, but not very clear-cut ones. Even the ones that were inside the area. Which is a shame. It is a shame, but that's it does feel like we could have won that game if we had a bit more luck, I think. Now, moving on to this. This is whoscored.com. Match report. Millwall created a high number of chances relative to their possession, were effective to create goal scoring opportunities from the flanks, and were effective at creating goal scoring opportunities from set pieces. But we were poor at finishing and we were aggressive. Strengths for West Brom, none. We had a large quantity of possession in our opponent's half, attacked through the middle, had a high shot frequency when in possession, favoured crossing the ball, and favoured long balls. So there you go. And there you go, see the injured Charlie Cresswell, 8.6 quite far and away the highest rated player according to WhoScored.com from yesterday's game, just ahead of George Saville by is that 0.8. So that's quite a big margin. Certainly, it's a big margin for a player who didn't score a goal or score a hat trick. Be so far and above the next person down. Here we go. The attempts: 16 to 14, 13 to 7 open play, 3 to 7 set piece, and passing types. Let's have a look at that today. Pretty similar. They had a lot more passes, but the average pass streak 4. We had 279 passes. So let's go down. There's the attacking side. So we were mostly going down on the right hand side, and they were mostly going down both flanks. Shot directions, as we've just seen through the middle. Shot zones. Again, they were trying to get inside that box. Action zones. Player positions. So there you go. What are we looking at? Kind of interesting. So you just saw that we mostly came down on the right hand side, but you can see Danny McNamara was the furthest back of Millwall's fullbacks. He's pegged back there. So who was going down that side? Honeyman? Guess so, because he's kind of further forward. What does that look like? That you can see it quite clearly. 4-2-3-1, kind of 4-2. They were tucked in, more narrower. They weren't really wide, so it was basically a 4-4-1-1 kind of sort of. For West Brom, they basically playing 3-5-2. Looks like it, doesn't it? Sort of. Kind of a big gap in the middle there. They were playing a lot of counter balls, so there you go. Moving on to this, also from WhoScored.com. So if we look at the club badges at the top left and the top right, you can see the average player rating for the players, and it's 6.63 for West Brom, 6.74 for Millwall. So pretty similar, not much of a difference there. 0.11 isn't that much of a difference. Player ratings, as we've seen, Cresswells 8.6. Their goalkeeper got quite a high rating, 7.4. So it just sees that he had some stuff to do. Yeah, so let's see who did what. So who had the shots? So 16 to 14. So here we go. Everyone for Millwall except for the two fullbacks and Long had a shot on attempt on goal, because the headers count as well. Cresswell 2. He had a clearance off the line as well. Cooper with 3, Bradshaw with 2, Flair with 2. So all over the shop there. Possession wise, 60 to 39. You can see Jules Long 4.7. So obviously holding on to that ball, slowing the game down. Was just behind Murray Wallace's person who had the ball the most for Millwall is Jules Long. Pass success percentage 78 to 67. And you can see the short passing goalkeeper, 75% for their goalkeeper, 31 for ours. That's how it goes. Leonard 80, George Honeyman 90. Obviously he didn't play, he did go off. I think he was the first one off, wasn't he? So he didn't play that much, but it'd be interesting to see how many passes that was from. Dribbles 10 to 6. Interestingly, their dribbles came from their attacking players, ours come from our defending players. Aerials won 26 to 38. Absolutely smashed it. So Cooper with 11, Cresswell with 7. Even George Long won an aerial. The only two didn't were Honeyman and Watmore. Even Bradshaw had 7 aerials, 1. So that's very good. 6 to 11 tackles. There you go. Cresswell with 2. McNamara with 3. Corners 6 to 7. So these are the players who won the corners. Dispossessed 6 to 3. So that means having the ball taken off of you. So there you go. So now let's go on to this. So let's see. So they had 16 shots, as we've just seen. All of these players. How many were on target? One. One was on target. That's from Jedabaya. 1-1. One shot, one on target. So there you go. If you only have, that's kind of pathetic, to be honest. You have 16 shots and only one is on target. That's really pathetic. And that's not because they were bad. It's because we were good at defending, as we always are. Positioning wise, the players know what they're doing and they're doing it well, which will be it'll be annoying. It might be annoying now having to change players, bringing Hutch in for Cresswell. Can we still maintain that with Hutch being out? Can he just come in and hit the ground running and do as good as Cresswell's been doing? Hopefully so. So here's Millwall. Millwall shots, again, probably not as good as it should be. All of these shots, 14, wasn't it? Shots on target 4, so 14 to 4. That's not really that good if you want to score. As I've said before, it needs to be half. So you got 14, you should have 7 on target, and then from that you would have 2 goals. So when you underperform, where you only have 4 shots on target for 14, then you're kind of looking at 1. Probably best one was Zion Fleming, where he got through, he got away from the man, and he just hit at the goalkeeper. That wasn't the best, but like I said, we did get better. If a bit more luck on some of those headers, we might have scored. You can't really fault the players for the effort and the skill that they showed yesterday. Very good stuff. Let's go by rating. Let's sort it out by rating. So obviously got Cresswell 8.57 and George Saville 7.76. Jay Cooper 7.7. It jumps down quite a bit to Ryan Leonard 7.01. And then that's all your 7s, and then we're down to 6s. And you've got most of the subs at the bottom, which is how it should be, because they don't have that much time on the pitch. So why should they have a high rating? Well, one of the subs got a higher rating than one of the players he replaced. Oliver Burke getting a higher score than Duncan Watmore, 6.45 to 6.2. So there is that. Touches for Millwall. Who had the most touches? Ryan Leonard, then Jay Cooper, then Murray Wallace, then George Saville. So obviously not. Usually it's the fullbacks that have the most touches. So obviously not doing that in this game. Going through the middle, and as we saw on the one before, probably because, where is it? Is it this one? Yeah, probably because there's a big gap there in West Brom's middle, so that would have gave them the room to do that. What are we doing? Defensive work. So who did what defensively? We got Danny McNamara with the most tackles, 3, Cresswell 2, Honeyman 2. Honeyman went off in the injury time. Okay. Oh yeah, it was Watmore went off first. Okay. Interceptions. Charlie Cresswell far and away, look, 4 interceptions. And then you've got these players with 1 each. Clearances, we've got Jay Cooper up there, 5. Then George Long. So that's what he was doing there, defending, because he didn't have a lot of shots to say. He was clearing the ball. Then Watmore. So Watmore did do some good stuff defending wise. So interesting that he got 1 tackle, 1 interception, 2 clearances, but he still got a low score of 6.2. So I don't know what exactly. Why did he do that? Why did he get such a low score in that circumstance? I'm not too sure, because he seems to be doing quite a bit of defensive work. So block shots. So obviously we see they had 16 shots. 1 was on target. So the others were, we had was that 3, 5, 7, 8 block shots. So there you go. So one had to be saved by George Long, I guess. It was on target. 8 were blocked. So that's 9. So then they had 7 that just went off target. Interesting stuff. Okay. So there they are. Danny Mack again, Cresswell, the main three. Passing wise, so had the most passes. George Long again. These numbers are really, 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 really low. They're really low. In terms of passing wise, this is. I don't know if there was an error with the thing, because that's. We go to West Brom and see how many passes they had. You can see. Well, I guess the top 3 players, but then the rest are similar to Millwall. So I guess both teams may be trying to shorten the game, because we saw that George Long had a lot of possession for Millwall. In terms of match time, 4.7%. But yeah, that's really low. It's really low for a 99-minute game or whatever it is. So yeah, and especially to have the goalkeeper have the most passes. So he had 31 long balls, so one of them was a short pass, and 9 of them were accurate, which gives him your 31% accuracy, which is usual for him, but compared to the rest of the goalkeepers in the league, not that good. Because obviously we do pump it long, old school. These new clubs, they pass it around at the back. It looks good on paper, but it's boring to watch as hell. And then if you do have to pump it long, it just means one of the defenders does it. So what's the point? So what was you looking at? You want to look at George Honeyman. So he had 90% accuracy, only over 20 passes, and he was on the pitch for 91 minutes. So to have 20 passes in 90 minutes, that's obviously we were doing a lot of closing down, and that kind of stuff, harrying, and so not really on the ball that much, which is how we play, and that's how we play. You can see Ryan landed 80% off of 25. So I guess you got to look at Jay Cuba there, 75% off of 28. That's not bad, and Danny as well, 76 off of 26. There you go. Let's look at crosses and accurate crosses. George Saville, yeah, Saville bowling down on the left wing a couple of times in that game. I don't know if he was inspired by his the way he was playing for San Marino. I don't know. Did Gary Rowett see him play for San Marino? I think, oh, you can do that. Is that what you can do? Try doing that for us. I don't know. 7 and 4, 5 and 2, George Honeyman, 3 and 1, Murray Wallace, 2 and 0, Cresswell, and then McNamara and Leonard. Long balls, accurate long balls, as we've seen, George Long, 31 and 9. George Saville again, not good numbers, 9 and 6. Murray Wallace, not so much, 8 and 2. Cresswell 7 and 3. McNamara 6 and 3. Jake Cooper again, very good, 6 and 4. George Honeyman 4 and 3. Fleming 4 and 4. So Zion Fleming 2 shots on target, and 4 long balls, 4 long accurate long balls. So there you go. I think he was obviously a bit perturbed in the last game to be marked out of the game, and tried to do something about it. Now, so that's it for the game. You can see. Take whatever you want from that. The one best stat is it was 0-0. We dropped 2 points, but they dropped 2 points, which is worse for them because they have to catch up to us. So if we just maintain our points per game that we've had since the start of the season, or even since the new year, we're going to get there. Because the teams below us have a gap that they need to catch. It means in order for them to go above us, they need to get a points per game that is promotion form. So they need to win, draw, win. So as long as we can maintain this gap, we're going to be peachy, going to be fine. We've got a 4-point gap, we can afford to slip up once. We're not going to be punished for it. So there you go. Now, before we end the video, I've got up this thing that we was talking about yesterday, the agents' fees. Now, this is all they got. It's literally just a list of the money. And it's the minimum amount of stuff that they are required to publish by FIFA. It says the information below represents all intermediary and agents' fees paid by clubs during the specified period via the FA's clearing account. So the money has to go through the FA. Did not know that. So interesting stuff. So I guess that's how they can keep a track of all the stuff, because the money has to go through the FA. The FA basically acts like eBay. When you buy something from someone who's selling on eBay, you give the money to eBay, the person sends the stuff to you, and then there's a time you have to complain if you don't get it or it's turned up in shit to eBay to get your money back. And I guess that's the FA act like eBay, but I don't think you can get your money back if the player turns out to be shit. So here's the Premier League, as you can see, astronomical stuff. The lowest one there is what, Nottingham Forest, 4.3 million in agent fees. Wow, that's what, to be probably about as much as our squad cost, our squad's value. Kind of, not right. You got Fleming at 2, who paid for Bradshaw and only about $1 million each. So, but if you were to sell them today, it's there or thereabouts, isn't it? So yeah, the whole of the Premier League is £318 million in just agents' fees. But that's for 2 transfer windows, so calm down. But here we go, Championship, as we've seen. Now, annoyingly, it's in alphabetical order, not in money order. But you can see, so obviously I mentioned yesterday, well, the teams who spent less than us were probably the ones who had financial problems and had embargoes as well. Not quite, yes and no. We've got Blackpool, who were well, first of all, Millwall, didn't see it, with £742,507 to agents and other people, intermediaries, I don't know what that means, translators or families of players. So that's what we spent. And you can see Luton Town, less than us. They've been buying and selling okay. Blackburn Rovers. So there you go. Reading, obviously they were in trouble. They had the financial embargo. Rotherham, I think they're just poor. Interestingly for Rotherham, the striker that scored the goals to get them up, Oladipo is his name. He left them when they went up to the Championship and went back to Ipswich Town in League One, presumably because he would have got more money, which is insane. But there you go. Interesting. Sunderland spent less than us. 718, 450. Obviously, they just went up this season, so one of those windows was in League One, one of them is in the Championship. They did spend a lot of money on that. The geezer from Spurs, they spent 10 million on it. Jack, someone, whatever his name, Jack Clark. Signed Danny Ballard as well and others. So interesting. They didn't rack up that much money, but you can see teams like Wigan. Wigan spent more than us. And what has it done for them? Hasn't kept them in the league, and they're now in trouble. Sheffield United as well, 1.9. But they were under an embargo in the last window, I believe. So they had one good window and then one where they were restricted. But you can see Norwich. Obviously, Norwich and Burnley, of course, one window was in the Premier League, one window was they knew they were in the Championship. So there you go. But that's where we rank. That's the whole list there, if you did see it. So Millwall 742k. Let's go down and see how do we compare to League One. So obviously you've got Derby County spending $1 million, Ipswich Town 850. So there are 2 clubs in League One that spent more than us, which is obviously again they were in the division above for one of those windows. Sheffield Wednesday 400k, but only 2 teams spent more than us on agents' fees. Going down to League One, League Two, I doubt there isn't, of course. So, but interestingly, we spent less in agents' fees than the entirety of League Two. 740k to 1.6 million. One of the biggest spenders there, Stockport County, obviously. I don't know if that's the money they pay to us for Isaac Alofi. I don't know. Surely not. But there you go. Moving on to the National League systems. Interesting enough, there's Carlton Town. Who are they? They spent 260 quid. 260 quid they spent. Interestingly, so never heard of them. So this is the entire system. This isn't. I thought this was National League Premier. No, it's the entire system. You can see that there's some clubs there who spent money and some didn't. So there are teams there. I think Maidstone are in the National League Premier. They didn't spend any money. But there are some teams there that didn't spend any money. But we did outspend them. So all in all of these clubs in the National League, we spent money on agent fees. They spent 660 grand, and we outspent them. So there you go. We're not. That's how it compares Millwall compared to the rest of the football league and non-league, and there you go. There's the agents fees. And now, if we go up, what kind of team can we build, and how much do we have to spend in transfer fees and agents fees to do that? Now, I imagine it would depend. If we had teams like West Ham and Crystal Palace get relegated, could we get some of their players to transfer over, even on loan? Would we want them? Always interesting when you've got players that played in the Premier League. So they're Premier League players, but they're at the bottom of the table, and they play for a club and they get relegated, and you constantly see them leaving the relegated team and go to one that's newly promoted or go back up the league, and then they'll go to that team and get relegated. And these constant players that have constant failure, but they keep getting rewarded with a place back in the Premier League. Wonder if we'll go down that road. I don't know, but let's hope we do, because that will mean success this season. But it will mean a lot of different things happening around the ground and around the team. But that's something else to worry about. Like I said, all we got to worry about is the next game, which is Luton on Friday, 12:30 kickoff. And on that note, thank you for watching, and goodbye.